Study less, study smart. Whether you're cramming for a test, quietly studying in your bedroom, or you live in the library, studying is one of the hardest parts of your education. We all know that studying is considered essential for acquiring good grades and useful for learning throughout one's life. We need it for better grades, to pass chemistry, physics, maths, and so on. However, have you ever felt lost when studying? No matter how hard you try to study your notes, they're just not making any sense. You reread the passage over and over again, hoping that the fifth time you'll be able to recollect what you've just spent over an hour studying. You know how exciting it is to know every answer in a test, and even more thrilling to pass a hard exam. I know it, and so do you. So how do we get there? Well, I'll be sharing 10 awesome study tips that will guarantee you better grades. Your studying will improve, become more efficient, and productive as a result. These tips come from Dr. Marty Lobdell, so they're absolutely legit, and make sure to watch the entire video if you're truly invested in improving your studying. Tip number 1. Break your studies into 20 to 30 minute sessions. Then between every session, take a 5-minute break. Studying gets unproductive when we tend to focus for too long. That's why long hours of studying is ineffective. You need to take breaks. 5 minutes should be enough to give your brain time to reset, re-energize, and keener to hit the books again. As a result, your studying will become more enjoyable and less daunting. Please note, don't overextend your rest. Anything beyond 5 minutes is a waste of productive learning time. Tip number 2. Treat yourself with entertaining activities during your breaks. This will in turn instill positive affirmation towards studying, and thus make your brain elucidate studying as an enriching, enjoyable activity, which it should be. Tip number 3. Have a dedicated study area. Don't study where you indulge yourself in all manners of triviality. Your sitting room, a pub, your playing area where you cook or sleep. All these areas have their intended purposes, so don't lie to yourself that you can productively study where you watch TV or cook. Most of you probably study in your bedroom or the dining room, and maybe others the living room. The reality is that you can't effectively study in the same place where you sleep or eat. Trust me, I know this. Somehow, whenever I study in my bedroom, I always end up convincing myself to indulge in a 5-minute nap. I remember one time as a child, I did this right before a history test I had the next day. At the time, it seemed logically like the right thing to do. I remember I was so tired, I just came from soccer practice and studying for history was the last thing I wanted to do. Plus, the bed looked so welcoming and inviting. But boy, did I regret this. The night I was supposed to study, I dozed off. That 5-minute nap turned into 8 hours of beautiful sleep. I didn't regret the sleep because I was so exhausted, but what I did regret was having to cram in between classes the next day and stressing so much about a history test I knew nothing about. And the worst part is, what I actually did cram for never even came up in the test. As you'd probably imagine, I failed that test. Luckily for me, it wasn't a major test. So guys, don't study in your bedroom or where you sleep, trust me. If you have nowhere else to study but your bedroom, buy a desk and make sure it's facing away from your bed. This is very important, so that you're not tempted to take a nap. Leave a comment below. Have you ever slept a night before a test or an exam? How did it turn out? Tip number 4. Tip number 4. Buy a study lamp. Research has shown that if you have a study lamp on your desk when studying and the lights in your room turned off or dimmed, you'll actually concentrate more, learn more effectively, and be able to memorize and recollect more of what you've learned. All this is possible because you won't be straining your eyes when you're studying by blocking all other distracting lights and focusing on what's important, your notes. This method has been proven, and I can personally attest to it. Tip number 5. For the sake of your grades, please turn off all distracting music. You can't effectively study while listening to distracting music. Drake, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, maybe some of you can, but most often not. What you can do is listen to instrumental background music. Classical music and instrumental background music can lead to more productive studying by elevating your mood and blocking all distracting noises. Tip number 6. Form a study group. Study groups are probably the most underutilized, effective form of studying. I know this for a fact. Studying in a group can help you collect new insights to enhance your learning experience. We learn a lot when we talk to others, explaining lessons and sharing ideas about topics and asking questions or making them up. If you're in a study group, make sure to show up with a clear agenda of what you want to accomplish, questions you want to discuss, help you might need, areas of improvement, and so on. Avoid unnecessary chit-chat. I know this part can be really hard, but that's why you must set your priorities as clear as possible. Tip number 7. Good night's sleep. You need a minimum of 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night to process and digest what you've learned. Sleep is super important for your health. If you're not getting adequate sleep, your IQ will actually drop. It's been tested and proven. That's why people who pull all-nighters cramming a lot for exams usually don't do that well. They tend to just get by or do okay. This is because they won't be able to think and recollect what they've learned as well as someone who had a good night's sleep. Sleep better and you'll do better. Tip number 8. Take notes. This is vital. Ideally, after a class or during class, write down, flush out everything, all the details that you're able to recollect. By doing so, in your own words hopefully, it will stick better and you'll be able to understand and retain more of what you've learned. Tip number 9. Teach others. Teaching others reinforces what you've learned. Research has proven that 80% of your time is best used reciting and teaching, and the other 20% reading. Tip number 10. Use flashcards, visual aids, go through old revision papers, snack on brain food, and just have fun with studying. Be creative. At the end of the day, it's just about being self-aware and knowing what works for you. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe and enable notifications.